Okay, let me get situated here. Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube video. If you can't tell by the name of this video, it is about my breast augmentation. I'm gonna go over a lot of things that, sorry, let me scoot forward. I'm gonna go over a lot of things that I think were important to me. Of course, the normal things like my size and the place that I went to, the price, all those kinds of things, and a lot of stuff that I feel has not been talked about yet, or it has been talked about very little. I watched a lot of YouTube videos beforehand, you know, to flood myself with all kinds of information before I had the surgery. And some of the stuff that I went through, that I'm still going through, has not really been talked about too much. And I think it's important that you know every single thing that you're getting yourself into, because it is a life-changing experience. So before we get started, I will tell you my measurements. So I am 5'5" or 5'6". I really feel like I should know that, but honestly, I cannot remember. I'm sorry, that was my dog. You okay over there? Okay. I am 120 to 125 pounds, and I'm 28 years old. So before I had the surgery, I was a 32B. I'll get into more in detail about that later. But first, I want to start off with the why I had the surgery, because I think that's a very important thing when you're deciding if you want this or not, to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Why I had the surgery. So a few years ago, I got heavily into fitness, particularly into weightlifting. I'm a personal trainer, so my life is it's very centered around fitness. And the more that I got into weightlifting, the more breast tissue I lost. I mean, it just got small and small. I started off, I used to be a 32C at my highest, and then it just got less and less and less. I was like a 32B by the time I had the surgery. And, you know, the more that the breast tissue dropped, the more my confidence dropped. I really didn't like what I was looking at in the mirror. I didn't like the way swimsuits looked on me. I didn't like the way a lot of my clothes fit me. I was just very, very unhappy with my appearance. It just really messed with my mind quite a lot. And that's why I had the surgery, because at the end of the day, I just wasn't happy with what I was looking at. And you know, I can go to the gym and build literally every single part of me, but I cannot build my boobs. Like, you know, like, I mean, I can build chest, but I can't build these, you know what I mean? So this was the option that I had. I did it for me at the end of the day. I did not do it for anybody else. Nobody talked me into it or gave me the idea. This was my idea fully on my own. So if you're deciding that you want a breast augmentation, please make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, because it is a life-changing experience, and you want to make sure that you're happy at the end of the day and nobody is influencing you to do things that you do not want to do. So okay, so after that, the before and after. So at the end of this video, I will leave some photos, or a photo that will show what I looked like before. I really don't have that many. I never was really like, I have some in swimsuits, which is probably what I'll leave, but like I said, I wasn't like showing them off by any means. I was trying to hide them a lot. So the size. So I ended up getting 300, and I'll explain this little tape later, 375 cc's smooth round gummy bear implants by a brand called Motiva. And I love them. I love them so much. Like I said before, I was like a 32B, and now I am a 32D in German sizes. I'll explain why I'm saying German later on in the video. And I'm a 32 double D in Victoria's Secret. I know it's kind of hard to tell right now, but yeah, just for reference, just in case you're thinking you don't know what size you want to get, because that's another reason why I looked at a lot of YouTube videos, is because I was trying to see girls that looked similar to my size to see like, okay, well, what size do I want to get? So I guess I'll go into the clinic I chose and the doctor that I went with. So about the German thing. So my husband is in the United States Air Force, and we are stationed in Germany. We have been here for almost 3 years now, and we're moving at the end of 2020 to San Diego, California. Now, originally I was looking into clinics in San Diego to get my surgery. It's expensive, to say the least. It is very expensive. So I decided to look into here while I'm here, to just see, you know, if it was going to be as expensive or what. You know, it couldn't hurt to look to see what was in my area. And doing that was very, very difficult, because I don't speak a lick of German. Nada. I can count to 10, but that's it. And it was very difficult for me to like look up YouTube videos or anything like that to find clinics and like reviews and stuff like that of women that had been to different clinics, because everything was in German. And I was very, very afraid that the clinic that I went to, they weren't going to speak English, or they weren't, you know, it was going to be a really bad language barrier. So it was just like a really scary experience overall. And I should also say that I decided to do this literally right after the quarantine lifted and here in Germany. So I was allowed to go places, I was allowed to do things, still had to wear a mask, but I also had to do everything on my own. I couldn't bring people to the appointments or the surgery or anything like that. So the more research I did, I ended up coming across this one clinic multiple times, and it's called Med1 Beauty. Now, this clinic, it has, I think the main clinic is in Berlin, which is 7 hours away from me. So clearly I'm not going to drive 7 hours. So they have multiple locations though, and 2 of them are near me. One is in Mannheim and one is in Frankfurt. Now Frankfurt I'm very familiar with. It's where the international airport is. I've been there quite often, so I chose to go to Frankfurt. So I called the clinic, and within the next week they had me in for a consultation. It was a very, very quick turnaround, and I think that was because COVID and they were closed for so long. So I want to start off by saying, you know, why I chose this clinic. So when I got there, you know, like I said, the language barrier thing was a real issue for me because I really didn't know how it was going to go. There was no issues at this clinic. All the receptionists spoke either, you know, enough English or perfect English to where I could ask all my questions and stuff like that. Like there was no issues. And my surgeon that I ended up getting, which is actually the head surgeon at this clinic, spoke perfect English. And he is so freaking nice. His name is Dr. Gregori. He has been so helpful to me. He's been so nice to me. He made me feel very secure. He made me feel like I was in very good hands. He's answered all my questions and everything. Like he's just he was just a really nice guy. And so when I went in, you know, of course we started off with, you know, the why I wanted to get the surgery and my options. And I started trying on sizes. Now, something that I would highly recommend to, you know, when you go into the clinic about finding your size. So of course the doctor is going to measure the diameter of each breast and tell you what you can, you know, what your breast will allow up to, what you can fit. Now, something that I learned, somebody recommended, was to start off by trying on the very possible lowest size. So that way you know, okay, I'm definitely not going to go under this size. Then try on the highest, most ridiculous big size that your breast will allow, so you know, okay, I'm definitely not going to go over this size, you know. That way it gives you a starting point. It really helped me decide like where I was, because I tried on 300, 325, 350, 375, and 400, and I ended up going with the 375 because when I think this is also a very important thing. A lot of women, the videos that I watched, they had something called booby greed afterwards, which was they had the surgery and then afterwards they were like, oh man, I wish I would have gone bigger. Like I felt like I could have fit bigger, you know what I mean? And I really didn't want that to happen to me because I really wanted to be happy with the surgery. Like I didn't want to get it and then, you know, feel like I should have went bigger, like it was a waste almost. So I really just didn't want that to happen to me. So I ended up going with the possible biggest size that, you know, because 400 was just way too big on me. I know 25 cc's doesn't make that big of a difference, but it did to me. And it just did not fit my body because ultimately I wanted them to look natural and, you know, a good size for me. So I ended up going with the 375 cc's, high profile, under the muscle with the incision below the breast fold. Just for reference, the reason I chose under the muscle is because it creates a more natural look. And I did have, you know, a slight bit of breast tissue to begin with, but it wasn't much. Okay, not much at all. But the ultimate reason why I chose this clinic is one, because I go by vibes when I go anywhere. You know, so if I'm going to give you my money, especially something as substantial as this, I'm not going to give you my money if you're rude to me. Like if I go into the clinic and you're just rude, you're brushing me off, all these kinds of things, if I get some bad vibes, I'm not giving you my money. I'm just not. So that was one of the main reasons. Is the clinic was very professional. You know, the whole exam was professional. Everybody was super nice. And my doctor has, I think, like 12 years experience. I honestly can't remember. I looked it up. It was a while ago. But he has a lot of years experience. He's worked a lot of different places and he's certified. So make sure your doctor that you're going to is board certified and is not in some rinky-dink little clinic, okay? I would just make sure that you do your research. That's all I gotta say. I've heard some horror stories about some women that have been through some scary things, okay? All right, so the price. So like I said, when I was in California, the prices were anywhere from when I was looking in California, the prices were around $8,000 to $10,000, okay? I ended up paying $3,999 USD, not Euro, USD. And I also got a year's worth of insurance included. Even though I won't be here for a year, I still got it just in case anything happens within that year. I'm covered to have it fixed, you know, like just in case. It was just the safe route for me. I recommend it. If anybody is getting it, you should probably also get it too, because a lot can happen within that year that was not the doctor's fault or that was not your fault. Both, there's a lot of things that can happen. So just keep that in mind. Another thing would be research. So as well as doing research on the clinic that you're thinking about going to, I did research on the entire surgery. So whenever I went into the clinic for my consultation, I had a ton of questions. I wrote them all down on my phone so that when I got there, I made sure I didn't miss anything, because there was a lot I wanted to know. I made sure I was well versed on, you know, the type of implant, the texture of the implant, the profile, the projection, the complications, the recovery, you know, all these things I wanted to know, because it's a big, you know, it's a life-changing experience, and I wanted to make sure that I knew everything I possibly could know going into the surgery. So I highly recommend to do your research. Do your research, make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. I think that's very important. A lot of people, I think, will tell you the same thing. Sorry. No, I'm not sick. Okay, before anybody has anything to say, just a random cough. All right. So the surgery. Now, this is something that's drastically different than in the States. So in the States, from what I've been told from my friends, others, and the internet, is that it's the same day surgery. So you go in, you have the surgery, you wake up, you recover a little bit, they send you home with a bunch of pain meds and antibiotics the same day, as well as it is for some other countries too. Well, that's just not the case here in Germany, okay? It's a completely different experience. It's not a bad experience. It's all right, okay? It's hard to explain. But so the surgery, so after the consultation on that day, I ended up feeling so good about the whole thing. Like I just felt like what I was doing was meant to happen, kind of thing. And I just went with my gut and I booked the surgery that same day. And within 3 weeks, I was in surgery. It was a very fast turnaround, very fast, which I was excited for because I really wanted to get everything started. And so the day of the surgery at this clinic, it's not actually held at the same clinic. It's a different clinic down the street. And you go in and there's a room with 2 beds on each side and 2 bathrooms on each side. And there's a curtain dividing, and you have a roommate. And you go in, you get in there in the morning. And I got there like 8 in the morning, and I think I was in surgery by like 11 or 12. And then I came out. So I'm just going to go through the entire process because it was a lot for me. So as soon as I woke up from surgery, I was in the recovery room and I was lying flat on my back. Now I did have an IV in, but when I woke up, this centerpiece here, it was so painful. It was just, my chest was just so tight. And I felt like there's a bowling ball sitting on my chest. It was just so uncomfortable. It's really hard to explain. I don't think a lot of people talk about that, the after feeling, like right after surgery. So just be prepared. It's not fun. It's very tight. It's very uncomfortable. So I told them that I was in a lot of pain, and she shot me in the leg with some, I don't even know what it was. And then they gave me another something in my IV. Again, don't know what it was. It was, all the stuff was in German anyway. So then they brought me back to my room, and whenever I sat my bed up and the pain went away. I think it was because I was sitting on my back and my implants were pulling the skin apart, which was already tight, and it was making it super uncomfortable. So once I sat up, I was fine. I actually felt pretty good. I was probably because, you know, whatever pain meds they had me on and the anesthesia hadn't worn off yet, because I felt fine. You know, I couldn't really sit up on my own. So the thing about this clinic is you don't get to leave that same day. They actually want you to stay the night and you leave the next morning. They have nurses there that feed you, take care of you, help you go to the bathroom. It's actually pretty nice. And the only issue that I ran into was that they didn't speak a lick of German. They couldn't understand me at all. But by the grace of God, my roommate spoke perfect English. She was my translator. She was so nice. I really wish I would have gotten this girl's name, because it just made the whole experience so much better, because I wasn't alone since I couldn't have anybody there with me. And we were experiencing, you know, while I was in surgery, she was also in surgery. So when we came out, we were both, you know, like, ooh, you know, like we were both experiencing things together, and we were talking to each other the whole time. It was just, she was just so nice. I'm really upset I didn't get the girl's name. But anyways, so we, you know, so we sit there and relax, and we like sleep on and off, you know, because you're the anesthesia and all these other things. Well, then I quickly realized that I'm an idiot, and I brought the wrong converter for my charger, and my phone was dying. It was only like 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and I had to stay there till 8 a.m. the next day. Now, and then I turned on the TV, and it was also in German, so all I had was my book, which I had already finished half of. It's up there. And I was very, I was like, there's no way I'm going to stay here for this full time, because I'm going to be so bored. So I called my surgeon in, asked him if I could leave later that night, like just late at night. And he said, if you want to, yes, that's fine, but you have to sign a waiver saying that if anything happens from now until that time, 8 a.m., that we're not liable for anything. And I said, okay, you know, I'll do that, because I was sure that there was nothing going to happen. I wasn't going to do anything crazy. And so I called my husband and asked him to come get me late that night. We live an hour from the clinic, so it really wasn't that big of a deal. And he had already taken off work. So I ended up staying until that night, and then I went home. Okay, so this is where all the pain really caught up to me. So for the first night, one, you have to sleep on your back for 6 weeks. And for the first week, you have to sleep, for me anyway, for what my doctor told me, is sleep sitting up. Not like all the way, but, you know, like at an angle. And it was so uncomfortable, because the main difference about, you know, the States and Germany is they didn't send me home with any pain medication. No pain medication and no antibiotics. Nothing. The only stuff I got was at the hospital, and that was a 600 milligram ibuprofen. Yeah, so I had to go through this, you know, completely just feeling all of it. And the first night was so rough. I almost cried. It was very painful. I don't know how it is on pain meds. I don't know if, I imagine it takes a lot of the edge away, but I had to feel every second of it, because I had nothing. And I want to say this, you are going to need help. Regardless if you're on pain meds or not, you're going to need help. My husband took off almost a week of work so that he could help me, because he had to actually, you know, put both of his hands on my back and actually like lift me up every single time that I needed to go to the bathroom or get up or anything, or readjust myself. He had to help me, you know, because you can't use your abdominal muscles to sit up, and you can't move your arms above your shoulders. You know, that's at least what my doctor told me that I can't do. Every doctor is going to tell you something different based on, you know, their practice. So it was really difficult. You know, he was there to help me throughout the week, but the first 4 days were rough. It was so painful. My chest was so tight. It was just so uncomfortable. Like, just to touch the center in here was like, it was just very, very painful. And it was just a whole experience, because, you know, I went into this thinking, oh yeah, it's not going to be bad, because all these other women on YouTube say like, oh yeah, I was back to work the next week, you know, 3-4 days I was up moving around doing things to take care of my kids. And I'm sitting here like in a ball on the floor crying almost, because it was just so painful. And I'm pretty sure that was a lot of it was because I didn't have any pain meds. Pain meds would have made it a lot better, but you know, I made it through, and that's all that matters. After the 5th day, I had my surgery on a Monday, and then after like that Saturday or Sunday, I was actually a lot better. The pain went away. It was still really tight, but I was able to do things, not really pick up things, you know, because I'm one of those people like, I can do it myself. I don't need your help. But I really had to ask for help, because, you know, I would forget that I can't reach up and grab things off the shelf or pick something up heavy off the ground. And it was just a lot to get used to when you're not used to needing so much help. So they give you every place is going to give you a post-op compression bra. And this is what they look like. So this is mine. It is black. It's actually extremely comfortable. Okay. I actually wear this still a lot. I actually don't have to wear this anymore. I can just wear bras with no underwire and just regular sports bras. But I still wear this a lot because it's just so comfortable. They're super, super stretchy. They have adjustable straps on them. And they also have, you know, you can tighten it to make it a little bit tighter if you want, if you can see that. But yes, super comfortable. You have to wear this for 6 weeks, mind you, day and night, unless you're in the shower. So something that I would recommend, I was watching another video, and this girl, she had ordered a bra on YouTube, a bra on Amazon, and I will link it down below. And it was less than, I think it was like less than 20 bucks. But this is the bra. So it's tan, okay? Also, again, super, super stretchy. This one has a bit more of the clasps on the front to make it a lot tighter. And you can also adjust it here on the straps to make it smaller, you know, longer, whatever. And I think this is very important as well because, like I said, you're gonna have to wear this for 6 weeks. So do you really want to be wearing the same bra for 6 weeks? So what I did is I will cycle these out. When one's in the wash and I'm wearing one, you know, and then I switch them out constantly. And it worked out well for me. I didn't really need to buy any more because I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't doing anything. So this is all I needed. Okay. So then something that is extremely important to me. Okay. Like I said, did a lot of research, and it was one girl, she mentioned something called Postop Depression, and then I started to look into it. And I didn't really understand it at the time. I was like, oh, that's not going to happen to me. And then I had this, excuse me, I had the surgery, and I realized what in the hell this woman was talking about. So I have suffered and still suffer from postop depression. Okay, it's a very real thing, and it's a bit of a roller coaster and a mind game. Okay, so be prepared. I really don't know how many women this happens to, because like I said, I haven't seen any videos of women actually talking about this. So this is the main reason why I wanted to make this video, was because of this. So between the time that you get the surgery, right, and the time that your breasts actually take their final shape, the drop and fluff is what it's called, is a long time. Now, everybody's bodies heal completely differently. So you could actually drop and fluff in 3 months, you could drop in 6 months, or it can take all the way up to a year, okay? I really didn't think it was gonna take that long. It's still hard for me to wrap my head around just how long it actually does take for this to happen. It's kind of mind-blowing at sometimes when I think about it, because I'm only 9 weeks. You know, I still have the entire recovery period to go. I'm nowhere near my final, my final shape. They still have not dropped yet fully. And the post-op depression is really because from the time you get the surgery until then, your breasts are constantly going to change. Constantly. They are going to change weekly, sometimes daily, and it's going to mess with you a lot. It messed with me a lot. So this is something that I highly recommend, is the day after surgery, take a photo. Every week, or a few times a week, like twice a week, take more photos of just your breasts and compare them week by week. That way you can look back and reassure yourself, okay, they're actually dropping and they're actually moving in the direction that they're supposed to. Like, this process is actually going. Because if you don't, it's very discouraging to constantly look in the mirror, because of course you're going to, because you have new boobs. Constantly look in the mirror and not see a difference, because we're all critical of ourselves. So I would highly recommend taking the photos, because it really will make a big difference. Because I'm running into an issue with the tape here, I'll explain it, is one of my breasts is dropping at a very rapid rate compared to the other one. This is also something that's very common. So if it starts happening to you, don't get crazy. Just talk to your doctor. Talk to your doctor about everything, because I'm very right hand dominant. This hand ain't good for absolutely nothing except for doing this. Okay, like, this is what I use my hand for. Like, everything is on this side. So this side and this muscle is a lot tighter than my left. And I can even feel the difference with how tight it is. There's still a lot of swelling on this side compared to this side. So my breasts were like this. I mean, it was like up here, and this one was like down here. It looked absolutely ridiculous. And it messed with my mind, because it was like that for quite a long time. I thought something was wrong. I thought, I was going to have reconstructive surgery. I was going through the motions with it. Let me just say, it was messing with me daily. And then, you know, so every time that you have a concern, speak to your doctor. That's what they're there for. Every time I had a problem, even though it's an hour away, I would call, I would make an appointment, I would go to see my doctor, and I would explain to them everything that I'm feeling. And I would leave 100 times better because he would reassure me like, okay, well, this is what's going on. This is what's caused this, so on and so forth. That is what they're there for. Please call them and keep them updated with everything that's going on. But with me in particular, a lot of, let me just grab it real quick, okay? Okay. A lot of surgeons will, well, not a lot. I really don't know how many, but will recommend this. This is a compression band, okay? So a lot of surgeons, from what I've seen, is they will tell you to wear it like this, okay? So it goes over the top, and what it is, okay. It pushes down the implants right from the top. But since one of mine was so drastically different than the other, which is this one, I've been wearing it like this, over this one to help push this one down for weeks. It's been a while. And let me tell you, once I started wearing this, I've been wearing this for probably like 3 or 4 weeks now. Within the first week, it dropped. Now you can see it's still a tad bit, I don't know if you can see that. It's still a teensy bit high, but now it's only 3 millimeters away from the other one. Before, it was like up to my neck bone, up to here. It was just really high, up to my collarbone. And this has helped tremendously. So did the photos, because the photos reassured me that it was moving. I could compare them and be like, okay, you know, oh yeah, it's moving. Like it's actually going in the direction it's supposed to. Things are actually working like they're supposed to. You know, there's nothing wrong. But with the tape here, what ended up happening is because one of my implants, you know, this implant in this breast was actually dropping at the exact same rate. My breast actually was dropping quickly, the breast tissue, and the implant was still stuck up here. So he told me to wear this tape. I've been wearing it for weeks until they even out, to actually lift my breast up, to hold it into place while the implant can drop so my actual breast tissue doesn't stretch, if that makes any sense. And it's working, you know, so, you know, I'm happy. They're almost completely evened out, which makes me just ecstatic because, like I said, it's been a roller coaster and I still deal with it every single day. I still deal with all the issues every day. I'm constantly looking at pictures, you know, but it's better now because let me just say, I had no bruising. I had no, you know, nothing like that. You couldn't even tell really that I had a surgery besides the fact that, well, they were bigger and that there's these tapes underneath here. And you can still see also, let me show you. When I put my fingers like this, you can see this one's just a tad bit higher. That's what I'm talking about. So don't get discouraged if something like that happens because it's actually very common for one implant to drop quicker than the other. A lot of women don't talk about that either. I don't know if it just doesn't happen to them, but it is very common because I did a lot of research on that as well. Once it started happening to me, it's happened to a ton of women. I assure you, it's okay. Just make sure you talk to your doctor about everything and keep them up to date so that they can help you throughout that process. So the drop and fluff phase, which is the very, very end result phase. I think it's something that, you know, everybody looks forward to, especially, you know, me, women who get these things done, of course. And the drop and fluff phase is really just, all it's stating is that once the implant finally drops into the pocket that the surgeon created, it will then slightly push itself out, and that will be the drop and fluff phase. It will make the appearance of your breast a little bit larger. That's it, and the shape will definitely change a lot over time. There, you know, so that's what I'm saying. Don't get discouraged. Over the next few months, they're constantly going to change shape until they finally do drop and fluff. So I also want to show you my incision right here. You know, you can hardly see it. The reason it's so high is because I'm pulling my, you know, my breast up, but you can tell it's very small. I honestly don't even notice it. I don't know if it's because like it's so in the breast fold and it's underneath that I just never see it. But I never notice it. My surgeon actually did really well, and it's actually very small. It's really weird to think about, you know, stuffing a giant implant into that tiny little incision. It's just pretty crazy to think about. But with the scar, I really want to share 2 products. Now, these 2 products are 2 things that some of my friends recommended and something that my doctor recommended as well. Let me just get them. Okay. So the first thing is this vitamin E oil. Can you see it? Yeah, there we go. So I got this on Amazon. I will put the link down below. So this is to help with scarring. This is exactly what this is for. I apply it every morning and every single night. It's to help make the scars appear less, you know, it's just to help them heal a lot quicker. And it has, it's helped a ton. Now, this is something that my doctor recommended, as well as some of my friends. This is silicone scar sheets. So this is the same thing as what this is for, is to help speed up that healing process. So they come in these little, if I can get one out, that's the instructions, like that, okay? And so what I do is I just cut it in half. I apply one here and one here every night before bed, and then I take it off in the morning. Now, and the good thing about these is you can reuse these until they're no longer sticky. So I don't know, it comes with 8 reusable sheets, but I still have like 3 or 4 left because, I mean, they last a long time. They're very, very sticky. But, yeah, so those were the products that I wanted to show you. Everything that I've learned throughout the process that I think is like just super important, to be honest with you. And also, so I don't know if I'm going to be checking my YouTube too much, but if you have any questions at all, or if you're going through something that's similar to me, you can just DM me on Instagram. I'll leave my link below, because I'm more likely to respond on there than I am on here, to be honest with you. Because, you know, throughout this process, the brand of implants that I chose, which was Motiva, they have 2 Instagram accounts, Motiva Girls and Motiva Implants. And I met some women on there that got the surgery around the same time I did or after. And I speak to them almost daily. We keep in touch with each other. We send each other updates of like what they look like, you know, and new bras, new swimsuits, all these things that we're getting. And it's so nice to have somebody to talk to that's going through exactly what I'm going through. You know, if we're having issues, we can talk to each other about stuff. And it's just these women are just so nice, okay? They're just really nice. And we've become really good internet friends, honestly. They're just so sweet. And I'm just very happy that we all reached out to each other, because it's made it, you know, just that much easier to be able to have somebody to talk to that is going through exactly what I'm going through. You know what I mean? So if you're out there and you're having any issues, or you just want somebody to talk to, you can reach out to me on Instagram. I would be more than happy to help you any way that I can. But let me also tell you, just because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a surgeon, and just because you see somebody else doing something, or you see me doing something, do not do it. Please speak to your surgeon first. There's a reason they're telling you to do the things that they are saying, because, you know, they're the ones that are the surgeons. They know what they're talking about. So I would just make sure that before trying anything, talk to your doctors first and make sure that's something that they want you to do, because there's a reason they're telling you to do the things, you know, that you're doing. But yeah, besides that, I will try to be posting some more videos. So I really hope that this video could help you. I really hope it answered any questions or anything like that. So if you like this video, please drop a like for me and subscribe to my channel. I'm very new to YouTube, but I'm gonna try to keep up with it. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.